Paul, thanks for the time. Opening thoughts on the series and the result here.
Well, it was an incredible week. I'd have to say that the product that we saw on the field exceeded any expectation. And that's saying a lot because we have lofty ones here at the Premier Lacrosse League. And, it was nuanced putting it together as the game and the rules have been submitted a few times over the last, call it, 3-4 years, and incorporating a version of the PLL, right, which is the 2-point arc and some contact. Thought our officials did fantastic. The players and the coaches were amazing. I was really anticipating the knockout stages in particular because I knew some of them were holding some strategy, which we saw a little bit today. But in the end, just so much gratitude to all of you all for coming, fans for watching and supporting, fans for attending, and then our league front office for putting on a hell of an effort to put this all together. We look forward to continuing to build it in future years. And I know from the 4 teams that didn't get in, they're champing at the bit to finish in the top 4 this season. And that's part of the narrative that we want to create as we look at expanding professional lacrosse.
Questions for Paul?
Paul, we heard Coach Brooks say this was basketball with sticks. You talked a little bit about the style of play. We saw Bromar get, a full court press essentially the past couple games.
Yeah.
As a hoops fan yourself, and as someone that's played this sport for a long time, what are your thoughts on kind of the parallels and how it related to sixes especially?
Yeah, I said it to start the week in here that I think teams were going to quickly understand the weight of a goal, which for me was sort of defined by when we play field lacrosse 10-on-10, someone scores, you get together and you decide how the hell that happened, right? Because you build a scouting report and your job is to hold fewer than 7 on a game, good defenses. Same thing in hockey, same thing in soccer. And different in basketball, you just know you're going to get scored on. So how are you playing with that dynamic strategically? How are you understanding an 8-minute quarter, 30-second shot clock? A team that has range in this version of sixes versus someone who doesn't. And I think what we saw Chrome do is have an incredible goaltender, and every possession they were using the clock more. It's hard as an athlete to play this game. You get the ball, you get wide eyes, you have a short stick on you, and I think we saw that during the round robin. I was just attacking. So I think that this version of lacrosse is such a dynamic product. We can talk more and more about it, and we'll learn more about it, especially as we fan survey, we pull in a bunch of data from other property heads and such, one of which we think about how the game is related to a casual sports fan on TV. There's a difference between we see in field lacrosse where you have 12 guys on one side, 6-on-6 playing, and then you have a goalie. Not every guy is typically on the picture. And one of the things we get back from most fans, especially casual sports fans, is difficulty tracking a ball. It took me decades to sort of sit in and listen to that because as a player, I can track it. What we found out here is that the 10 guys, the 10 runners that are on the field are all in the picture, and it's closer. And so that wasn't a complaint. People can follow the ball. So translating to net new fans being interested in lacrosse, however this property evolves, what we think about is, wow, this might be a great foray to people to see lacrosse for the first time and really understand it.
Dan.
Paul, putting aside the on-the-field product, but from like a league executive point of view, as this was executed by the PLL, when you think about things you wanted to see this week in order to call this first championship series a success, what were those things, and do you feel like you saw them?
Yeah, well, we did a ground-up build, essentially, not complete, but what we've discussed for several years now is what would it look like if the PLL goes into a market and creates a stadium in an important destination with great audience demos. We had this facility, it's beautiful, world-class facility, but in the end, you have an indoor turf field. So we worked with the St. James folks, and they were fantastic, as well as Events DC. So when we think about our markets, the venue fit. We trialed a lot here, so it was a great learning experience from the hospitality deck and suites to the bar down lounge. But we were able to see that if you build something up, especially that feels so exciting, the vibe was awesome, especially last night and even in today, that there's a lot more commercial value to squeak out of it. So we're really pleased with the venue, really pleased with the support from Events DC. Ticketmaster came on and supported it, and we brought in other partners. So that's like sort of high level. And then our ground level team in selling tickets really learned a lot. And we thought we did a good job and learning a lot because we've never played a game on a Wednesday night. So you're all of a sudden in February here where high school tryouts have kicked off, they're finishing at 6, and ESPN2 gave us our first window at 5:30. So there's all these different things behind the scenes, but we were really excited to see that there's some staying power for 4 teams that aren't tied to a market, in a market, playing in 5 consecutive days. So frankly, Dan, like, pretty blown away by the results, knowing that we were going into this almost as a loss leader to see what we can create. And then it's turned into something that's really valuable. What I'm going to spend a lot of time on this coming week is making sure that LA28 and all the property leaders from World Lacrosse to USA Lacrosse and Canada Lacrosse are now taking this and using it as further material and presentation to make a more thoughtful, I think, evidential bid into the games.
Paul, you just spoke about how fun it was to watch from the sidelines. How much do you wish you were still playing so you can play in a format like this? Yeah. And is there a chance we can see you come out of retirement to play in some six?
I'll tell you guys something. All right. When I retired and we were starting to think about championship series, I was like, well, if the Cannons make it, and then I had a second knee surgery. So it would have probably been harder if the Cannons were here. But I would have loved playing this format. It brings me back to, obviously I spent 7 years playing in the National Lacrosse League and learned so much playing that game. And there's so much skill and intricacy into that. But before I was ever introduced to that version of lacrosse, my foray into indoor lacrosse was much like this. Growing up in Maryland, it gets cold for a long time. At Hopkins, it would snow in March sometimes, and we'd be playing, pushing snow off. And so I played a lot of indoor lacrosse with 6x6 nets and used to just be, oh my gosh, this would be amazing. But I would have loved it. And I think, I would probably the version of myself that I would see is more like Romar, the older version, probably cutting more, which surprisingly, I thought the best cutter for Chrome was Alex Smith. I thought he was unbelievable off ball.
So one challenge that I imagine when you guys conceived of this was ensuring that the players approached it with the same competition level that they approach, the summer. How much emphasis went into incentivizing those guys to play as hard as they did? And, how do you think that all panned out?
I mean, I think there's 2 parts to that. The first is what I believe is like the core of us as athletes. And I was at a round table discussing the prospect when Live Golf was coming around with some PGA executives, and we were thinking through sort of the integrity of what golf was feeling that was at risk. And, we don't make the wages of PGA players. But every athlete, whether you're a golfer, you're an NHL player, MLB, NFL, NBA, Premier League, Premier Lacrosse League, when you're the best at what you do, there's more at stake than wages. Your reputation, your legacy, things that these guys I know are part of how they're bred. It's so difficult to make it this level in any discipline. So I've always bet on that. And by the way, that was put to the test for 10 years of my career in MLL and for 20 years of others. And we hear about it from Ryan Boyle and our inaugural Hall of Fame class talk about, would love to have played in this environment. They laid the groundwork for where we are today. What we're doing now by creating this supplemental property and thinking about that as part 1, but part 2 is like wages and playing on a platform where it's a packed house and people are sitting in the aisles and leaning on the railings to get in and watch you. There's excitement around it for an athlete. And then, frankly, to be out here and play for $15,000 in 5 days is not something that came along much for professional lacrosse players. So that was the total purse of the winners. And I think Dan broke the rest of it earlier, I saw. But, we want to continue to build on that like we have our summer season. I think there are more steps ahead of us to create an even more exciting and competitive environment. One being for me, every day when I get up, I think about how can I get these guys paid more and be full-time, as many of them as possible. That's sort of like the trickle down as we think about the business. But I think they all showed up today, and we saw it all week. If they weren't that way, we wouldn't have seen the product either. I was stunned that just how well they were coached too. You know, and we'll have to pull up stats. I have an instinct that on average there were fewer turnovers during these games than there are in a 48-minute 10-on-10 game. And that was my biggest fear going into this. So fast, so much physicality, so much skill. The ball's going to be flying everywhere. Exceptional by these teams.
Paul, just from from your league executive perspective, both teams with an interim and an acting head coach.
Yeah.
To see the players respond in that environment and see two coaches who aren't, your traditional head coach for a team, what was that like from your perspective, and just seeing how the players responded to both of those guys?
It's pretty cool. You know, I'll have to say, like, Rachel DeCecco, Seth Tierney, Andrew Manning, they have a lot on their plates. Kyle Harrison as well. I mean, one of the things that we feel really fortunate right now as a league is the number of coaches who want to be a part of it. And right now we're sort of setting the standard of what that means in way of sacrifice for a coach if he wants to be a head coach in this league, what that means, and an assistant coach, same thing. I thought Stephen Brooks was fantastic. And I know that he's putting every bit of energy and thoughtfulness into the head coaching position at Atlas. And should that not be him, I know that he'll have a spot at some point in the PLL because of how he cares and how he thinks about the game. I thought Spencer Ford was fantastic this week. But the entire Chrome coaching staff, a different proposition, sort of filling in big shoes of Tim Sudan. And they were obviously terrific, did the job.
Hey, Paul, I don't know if you were aware, but 6 sportsbooks offered odds on this championship series despite not having any data, and then FanDuel offered live odds as well. How happy were you with the fact that sportsbooks are embracing PLL?
Well, I credit to our strategy team and some of the folks on our BD team who've really been working with sportsbooks since 2020. The halting of professional sports in March enabled us to sort of jump to the front of the line proactively and work on all of the licensing and clearances and governance required to get in. That would have taken ages if it wasn't, I think, for a pandemic that put everyone on hold. And since then, we've worked with DraftKings in an official capacity in 2020 and 2021 season. Now we've unlocked in a non-exclusive capacity 6 books that we're covering now. And I think the same way that we work with all partners, while they don't have sort of data in-house, a data team in-house that's aggregating, our hope is that let's build enough groundswell such that they do. In the interim, we will share information with them with our business intelligence team so they can be more thoughtful and accurate with their prop bets all the way to money lines, overs, and spreads. That's another path into net new, and I think if you combine that with this style of play, it was really digestible. So excited to sit with our strategy and BD team to sort of think about the aftermath and how we can leverage that into this summer season.
Hey, Paul, you mentioned Ryan Boyle a minute ago. What went into the decision process on announcing his Hall of Fame induction when you did and making him, the first of the new class?
Yeah. So we have our specific criteria to induct someone into the Hall of Fame. We have an isolated committee. They submit names, then they all vote on those names, and those names have to receive a supermajority of votes. Very similar, sort of replicated from other professional sports Hall of Fames. And so there are people that make the ballot and then return on the ballot the following year. Ryan was one of those that I saw. I don't get a vote, by the way. Hopefully I'd get a vote one day. But I think in way of announcing Ryan, we thought it would be special. Kind of took a page out of what I've seen the NFL do from time to time. And he's been so fantastic in the booth and as an ambassador for the sport. We sort of wrote up a fake halftime show and had to sell it to him because he's one who would sniff it out. Talking about someone who reads the scouting report. So we were detailed in the questions that he was supposed to ask, and I was just nervous I didn't drop the ball, but just so proud of Ryan and what he's done for the sport and what he continues to do, and in awe of his talent in the booth. I mean, I could just sit there and listen to him with my eyes closed and probably have a good idea what happens.
looking again at the structure of the championship series, right now its relationship with the regular season is that the top 4 teams qualify, but the results of this series don't have an impact on the following regular season. Do you think that's the relationship that will stay that way going forward, or is there a world where results here could impact the following regular season?
It's a great suggestion. Honestly, we hadn't thought about the benefit yet of winning the championship series into the subsequent season. It's mainly been in reverse order. And I think what we've put on, per your earlier question, has made all 8 teams now really compete for those top 4 seeds. Now, just like everything, we'll take a look at it. We'll see where it worked, some areas that we need to improve, take something like that into consideration in the future. Then there's all sorts of things as we continue to grow both properties that might unlock other connective tissue to the two. But that's always been sort of the focus and something we'll look into.
Questions from Zoom? Anyone else in the room?
Thank you
Paul.
all.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
really enjoyed it. Thanks for coming. Really appreciate you guys.
All right, our 2023 Championship Series champions. Opening thoughts from each of you, and congratulations.
Sean. Yeah. Thoughts? I don't know what to say. Honestly, I love this group of guys. Coach put 12 guys together this week, and we stuck to a game plan. I mean, he said it was going to be a process from the start. Wednesday feels like it was a decade ago, honestly, from the first game. But we came a long way as a group. We bonded together. We added 3 new guys that we haven't even met before, honestly, to our team this week, and they really bought into what we were doing, and we came out champions. It was awesome.
Can I add on? No, I echo everything Sean said. I mean, it was so much fun being with all these guys, especially some of the new guys, getting to know them. Coach Monty did a hell of a job, molding some of us that maybe have never played D in their lives, and coming up with game plans for every game. He made us feel comfortable out there and showed us the love. So, I think I'm a D guy now, and we're having a ton of fun out here.
Yeah, hey, first off, I just wanted to give a big thanks to Paul and Mike. Like, this was an unbelievable event. Being able to come here for an entire week, hang out with our best friends, this is awesome. Like, the game in and of itself was an absolute blast, each and every game. But I thoroughly enjoyed just being here with these guys, playing together. Kind of from the beginning, we knew that this was going to be a bit of a grind. This many games in the few amount of days that we had. But like Sean said, we stuck to the game plan. We kept doing what we were doing while other teams were kind of playing a lot longer on the offensive end, defensive end, and staying on. We had a system, right? We played offense, played defense, and then got off while we were transitioning to the next offense. And I think that really helped us. I would say our legs are absolutely exhausted, but at the same time, our spirits are up. We're fired up that we were able to pull it off. It was amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Mike and Paul for putting this together. Great event. Tim Sudan, who is my best friend and the head coach of this team overall. We miss him, and he's dying that he's not here, but he's put in a lot of things in place to have this all work. And the guys were warriors. And that's what we said, stay the course and fight. And that's what they did, and it worked. It's great.
Questions?
Coach, coming in, the formula to contend with the Atlas, everybody kind of knew was, all right, we have to handle Romar and we have to defend the 2. And at halftime, Romar only had the 1 goal. You guys had given up 2 2-pointers, but you still found yourselves down a goal. Were you looking at adjusting after that, or were you saying, what we're doing is actually working, let's just stick with this and see it through?
I thought we were right where we needed to be honest with you. We didn't put some balls in the net, which we could have. And I thought the pace was going to slow down as the game went on. And we communicated that to the guys that, just stay the course, do what we do. And I think the game is going to come to a rhythm where it's going to be good for us. And it did. You got to contain those guys. They're awesome players, and they can shoot it from anywhere. And you got to get out and play them. And that's what our guys did. They got out and played them and took away space and made it challenging for them. And we made them do other things. And kudos to our guys for executing and being, tough, not tough physically, but tough mentally to do what we wanted to do.
Coming into this event, there was a lot of focus on the offensive players, like a Romar, like a Logan, like a Will Manny or Grant Ament or Marcus Holman, and what they were going to be able to do. But it seems like with this finals with Sean versus Jack in goal, it seemed like goalie played a very important role in the success of teams throughout this tournament. What did you see in the role of the goalies throughout having success in this week?
I think it was huge. This guy's incredible, right? And the guys that played in front of him were incredible. We basically said these are the types of shots we want to see because we know he is a stopper. And I think every goalie that could steal shots, that's what it was. The balls are going to go in the net, but it was stealing some shots and some goals. That's how you win games, and he's the best. So our guys stood in front of him and protected him. And he did what he does, which is be awesome. So,
Coach Monty, you mentioned Coach Sudo and the groundwork that he laid for this team's culture. I'm curious from you guys, this culture that Sudo and John Galloway and all those guys established. How important were those veterans welcoming you guys into the league? And even though they're not here right now, are there any guys who are still, important role models for you guys?
The Chrome wouldn't be the Chrome without John Galloway, John Ranigan, Jordan Wolf, all those guys. We wouldn't be who we are if it wasn't for them. They're texting us all week. They're watching the game. Mike Manley shooting us a couple texts, but those guys laid the foundation. And Coach Monty, Coach Sudo, they took it and then they implemented it with us. And we try to carry that tradition on. And those guys get all the credit in the world. I love those guys. They taught us how to be not only professionals on the field, but off the field as well. So those guys get all the credit in the world. I love those guys, and forever.
Spot on. It's a trickle-down effect. Like, I got the chance from Coach Sudo, and those guys welcomed me with open arms. All of them obviously great players, but off the field, I think that's what makes our team really special. We love being together. We have a great time. We're talking off the field during even months and months apart, when summer being, only once a year we get back together. So we're always talking. I think that's a really big part of our culture and us, and that's kudos to those guys as well as the coaching staff.
I'll just add on that, kind of what the coaches have put together. This is an incredible culture that we have as a program. And the guys that have come before us, Sean made the comment that they've been messaging us. I got a message the other day from Ned Crotty. I played with him for a year, and obviously an unbelievable player, but just for him to reach out to me and congratulate me, tell me keep going, that sort of stuff is big, and it resonates with us knowing that these guys are care, they care about us, right? And so I think that's really cool. And to be able to win this is amazing. I know that there are guys throughout the week that are on our roster in the summer but can't play sixes because of other obligations. They're rooting us on, and that's a super cool family atmosphere that we have.
My question is for Sean. Sean, I remember at the end of last summer season, you talked about how you were looking forward to this championship series. What were your expectations going into it, and were they met or exceeded?
The expectations, I don't know to answer that question, but it was way faster than I anticipated. I knew it was going to be fast, right? I knew it was going to be a lot of shots, but actually being there and getting all the shots and getting the up and down was fast. But like I said, Coach Monty put this thing together. Our guys bought in, goal goes in, trying to push strangers the other way. It's almost like, give our guys another chance, right? And our guys did an unbelievable job offensively, but defensively as well. Dylan played a ton of defense. In a couple early games, Logan played defense, right? But these guys they were asked to do things that they've never done before. And, I give them all the credit in the world. I love these guys, and honestly, I wish this week never ended.
So, from an outside perspective, which I realize you guys, being as absorbed as you have been this week, may not have been on your radar, but one of the biggest criticisms of this format is that it's lacking strategy or lacking, scheme. What would you guys say to those criticisms as a team that all of you have mentioned scout and being prepared in different ways at this point? How would you guys reply to those criticisms?
It depends on the team, right? You can obviously tell people have different strategies, so there's obviously something going into it. The Atlas strategy was using their shooters, and that was their strength for the 2-pointers, right? Our strategy was figuring out how to stop that on D and then doing what we do on O, where we're comfortable. So we obviously also had some O plans, but having, let's say, me, Logan, and Morrill on D was more of a concern guarding Romar and Costapile, guys that do this stuff every day. So just right there, and then the subbing game's a huge, like, you can go a bunch of different ways with that. I mean, putting it up to the coaches and picking one and sticking with it is what we did, and we wrote it out, and it was successful. I'm sure other teams, not that I was noticing it, but they were switching it up and doing a ton of different stuff, and this kept our legs fresh and worked for us. So everyone had different plans going in, probably tweaked them, but if you look at the tape, you can probably see different subbing patterns, like different offensive schemes. I think there is a lot of strategy that goes into this, even though it's straight chaos once you're out there.
For Justin and Coach, just how important was that full court press starting in that, especially in the second quarter and on, and just how proud were you that of how well it worked throughout the game?
Yeah, I guess I'll start with that. Look, I think Coach kind of talked about it beforehand, before the game. We weren't going to do it the entire game, right? But we were going to throw that full court press, I guess you'd call it, in and out throughout the game so that we could kind of keep them on their toes, right? I'm sure they had a game plan if something like that were to happen. But when this game is so fast and we start pressing them right away, I think it was very advantageous for us. I think we had a few opportunities where we were able to take the ball away and go and score. So I thought it was awesome. It was a great game plan.
This is for anybody who wants to answer. You guys talked about, how close you are, having guys, in your group text that weren't here. How much do you think this experience of being here this week is going to carry over into the summer and help you guys, just from a team bonding perspective and just a momentum perspective going into the summer with just a 3-month turnaround now instead of, some of the teams that weren't here who have to wait, that lengthy offseason?
Yeah, I mean, after our summer play of kind of falling short in the playoffs, I think this is going to give us a ton of confidence. Like, we have our core guys, I would say, here. Obviously there's some guys in the NLL that, we'll have in the outdoor league, but just getting this kind of confidence, honestly, like showing that we can actually finish a game and get to the next one, I think it's going to go a long way. We got some young guys, and they're studs, but, this type of composure, no matter how many championships they've won in college, the next level is a totally different game, and just kind of not – I'm not going to curse just not laying an egg in the playoffs, et cetera, it just goes a long way. So now we can move forward with this composure and build on that and bring those guys in that are only going to help that. Those guys like Terry, McIntosh, Rani, like those guys are great guys to have, and they're experienced as well. So, this is only going to be built on in the summer, and I think this just gives us a ton of leverage going into that. And with all the camaraderie and everything, this just gives us more to hoot and holler about in the next couple months.
Any other questions in the room?
Hearing you guys talk about, the playoffs and how it ended last year, but coming up and getting confidence from this week and winning the championship, obviously last year, team on the rise, and you talk about the culture of this team and the guys that came before it. I know Coach, playing with the Rattlers or coaching with the Rattlers and coming so close so often, what does it mean for you especially to kind of experience that whole ride, experience it with all those guys, and now to win a championship with these guys, with the Chrome, kind of off the foundation that you've been building for a long time?
It's fun. It's fun, and it's all those experiences and those relationships, like guys were saying, those moments in time that you build off of. And I think it's today, all these guys, all the experiences they've had, and it's carried over to a fun day. It's not done yet, right? So the day's not done, but we're gonna enjoy this. But it's a lot of work, and it's come to fruition today with this event. I love it.
Any questions from Zoom?
Yeah, guys. You started this event out 0-2, and then you ripped off 3 straight wins. What would you say was the biggest learning point during those first 2 games?
Well, I would say the biggest learning point is that in the beginning we were learning. Like on Wednesday, like everybody was learning, right? And while going over the film, sticking to the game plan, I think, it showed today. Things are going to go wrong in this type of game, right? Guys are going to score, guys are going to make plays all over the place. It's like, we watch film all the time, Coach, like, that's an awesome play. Like, that's really good defense, but that's an awesome play.
they're the best guys in the world. So the biggest thing was just sticking to what we did, and our guys bought into it and absorbed everything, and it really worked out for us.
Yeah, and to add to that, like, not to keep harping on some of us never playing D before, but like we were playing two totally different teams. Like when you're going out with the Archers, they're all pick slips and they're fancy finishers, etc. When you're going against Atlas, we just played the Archers and we're ready to be kind of sloughed in and protect that now, and we're just getting exposed by a 2-point arc. So just that is a crazy mix-up, and then we learned from that and kind of, I guess, scrambled it all together and figured out what worked for each one, and kind of made the difference for the next 2 games.
We'll go last question to Dan.
Dylan, yesterday after the games, we had asked Coach Monty about sort of the up and down nature and buying it on both ends, and he kind of joked. He's like, "Oh, Dylan Malloy plays defense now?" And now you're up here today saying, "I'm a D guy now," and you definitely thrown the body around at the D end a little bit. Would you have found that part of your game without getting to play in an event like this?
Never. I don't go over the midfield line. And I stick to a strict 5x5 on the bottom right. But, you know, Coach Monty brought that out in me. You know, I was asking questions and very focused on the D because I didn't want to be exposed. You know, this is on TV. I needed to be ready. And I needed to help the guys. I didn't want to totally screw them. So I worked hard the last 2 months trying to figure out what the heck was going on. And they really helped me and were there when I wasn't. So it was definitely a cool experience. But I think I'm done with it after this. And the outdoor field might be a little too wide for me. So we'll see what happens.
Last call for questions from Zoom. All right, congrats, guys. Issue at the time.
Thank you.
Coach Romar, thanks for the time. Opening thoughts from each of you.
Gotta give credit to Chrome. They came out, throw as much junk as they possibly can with us, and it threw us off our course. And we knew it was going to be a battle going into a championship game. And they're a well-coached team, and they fight very hard for one another, kind of like the Atlas Bulls do. So, I give a lot of credit to them. They came out. It was a slugfest, and unfortunately, they just ended up with one more than us and didn't fall our way today.
Yeah, congrats, Chrome. I wouldn't go as far as saying I like any teams, but they're a tough, physical team, and they play the way the game should be played. And I love to see it. I love to compete against it.
Questions in the room?
Romar, this is for Romar. Phil Shore with USA Lacrosse Magazine. Wanted to ask you a little bit about the strategy that you saw the Chrome defense play against you, how they kind of pressed you and really kind of almost like a full court ride, and also the play of Scanone in goal and what it was like shooting against him.
Yeah, I think they stole a little bit of that full court press from the Whipstakes last game. Credit to Puglisi and Ty Warner. I think Ty's one of the best team middies in the world. Definitely tired me out yesterday and all week. I know Jared Connors as well. And so to step into this game, Smith, all those guys stepped up and carried on. And it's tiring. Shooting on the run with my weight is really tiring. And I was worn down. So they tired me out. And then Scanone is an unbelievable goalie, man. Like this tournament style is so not fair to goalies, and to see him like make saves and the way he plays is just I will say I like Jack's my favorite goalie. I think he's the best goalie in the league, but Skinner I've never seen rattled. He's so even keeled. So he seems like a high character guy as well.
Other questions?
Kyle Bennett from the Outside the Box podcast. Coach, to kind of just see the way that your team responded, all week, and then to just go into one of the toughest matchups in this championship game, a one-score game. Can you just talk about, just the resiliency where you guys just didn't give up and kind of fought until that very last second?
You know what? It's the moment, like I said before, I put this team together. Because it's a high-character team. They care about one another, and most importantly, they truly, genuinely care about the success of other people than themselves. And, to see these guys come in and sacrifice, taking time off of work, spending time away from their fiancés or wives or girlfriends, it's a lot for them to do. But to see them bond the way that they did, I'm going to try to use this as motivation. And I'm going to tell these guys, just use this going into the summer. You guys got to take what this feels like and push yourself to get better into the summer. But, I love each and every one of these guys, and to see their emotions on their face means that they truly care and they want each other to win. And it's just nice to see, and I just wish they could have been hoisting that trophy in the end.
This is for Romar. Obviously not the result you guys wanted today, but a Golden Stick Award for you as the leading scorer in the tournament. As a team goal, it's always going to be we want to win the last game. Do you feel like you had individual goals for this that you accomplished, like with a scoring title like that?
I don't really care much for the scoring title, to be honest, but individually, like I said, I just wanted to prove that I should be in the lineup every game in the summer. I'm still pissed that I've been sat 4 times over the last 2 years. I think that was ridiculous. So to whoever our new coach is, I just wanted to prove that I should play.
I have a question for Coach Brooks, because I think Romar would be too modest if I asked him. What can you say about his performance this week, and specifically down the stretch in that fourth quarter when he hit those two pointers and really seemed to swing the momentum there in your favor for that run?
It goes back to talking to him throughout the last few years and seeing his drive and seeing his commitment to the game. It's outstanding. I mean, you call him, he's like, hey, can you talk? I'm at the gym. Hey, can you talk? I'm shooting. Hey, can you talk? I'm going to go lift again. It's like his dedication to the game is above and beyond anybody else's. And I think the biggest thing that you guys don't realize is his passion. He truly loves this game so much. It's given him so much to his life, and he's just trying to get back. He's just trying to give it back to the lacrosse and the creators that played this game to showcase his abilities. I think he's one of the best midfielders in the league. He definitely showed himself today about how much big threat that he is. But I think overall, I think his love and passion and care about this game goes a long way, and the guys see it, and it's a ripple effect. They want to see that passion. They want to be like him. I mean, we were just talking about it in the team meeting the other day about how big of lax rats we were, and having our stick and worry about what kind of side string you did and this and that, and specific about sticks. I'm like, him and I were just lax rats as we grow up, and we love this game so much. And it's just a pure joy to watch him play this game. And, it crushes my heart to see him upset, because I know how hard he wants to win a championship. So I just hope that, he can continue his success into the future, and he gets to hoist a trophy a few times.
Hey, Coach, I think every team had the desire to win, going into this, but I think you were one of the few that really preached it from, day one, that you had your desire to get this team to win. I know you fell a little bit short, but how did the players buy in during your first really game action as an interim head coach to what you were kind of preaching at the beginning of the week?
I'm not quite sure. I asked Romar actually yesterday after the game, and I go, are my speeches corny or are they good? He goes, I'm a type of guy that looks at your face and I see your passion, and when I see your passion, it gets me fired up as well. But, doing these things, you never know what goes into a player's head. Everybody gets pumped up a different way. I just want them to see how much I care. That's the biggest thing. Having this opportunity to be interim and come in here and coach these guys for a week has been a true blessing. And I don't know what's going to happen. I always say God has a plan, and trust him and trust my faith. But, it's just a tremendous opportunity to coach a great group of guys who I truly care about and love, and I've been a part of with the inception of Atlas. And it was a blessing, and especially to share a sideline with Spencer Ford, who's a dear friend of mine. When I was a player, he took me under his wing, and he taught me so much about this game and made me the person that I am today about a player. And having him on the sideline really, truly helped, because he's a phenomenal coach. He thinks outside the box, and he's very honest with the players, and I think the guys respect that. But I'm never gonna forget this moment that I had with these guys this week.
Coach, just under a minute, chance to tie. Was there ever a message of, hey, let's go for the win for a 2-pointer, or just what'd you draw up, and were you happy with the look?
You know what? Sometimes you got to shoot your shot. I said if the 2-pointer's there, go for it. Go for a win. Why not? You're in a championship game. You can't be thinking tight and trying to look for a 1. Just see what you got. Trust in the players that they're going to make the right decision. And we had a great opportunity. We had 2 great opportunities to tie it up. And we had opportunity almost to shoot it 2 as well, But it's a game in inches, and it's unfortunate. But, going in outside that huddle, I said, hey, if you see the 2, shoot it. Let's win this dang thing. But if you have a single and you can't get the 2, let's try to get that tied up, buckle down on defense, and let's take this thing to overtime.
Coach, well, anybody really, but another game flow kind of question here. A couple of things don't really go your guys' way in the third. You get halftime. Later in the second half, a few things don't really go your guys' way, and you get a timeout. What was the message to the team in those moments, and what were you guys really talking about to try and get things back on track?
Well, my message was just to get back to us. That's been the focus all week. No matter what, if we get deteriorated from our path, we got to make sure we walk right back on our path and just focus on us and play Atlas Lacrosse. That's the biggest message that I kept repeating all week, is just try to be us. Don't let other people to control what we can control. We control what we can control by being Atlas Lacrosse and the best of our abilities. And go out there and put a smile on your face, enjoy the process, but also grind as much as possible.
Any other questions in the room?
After a week of this competition and a lot of games and seeing different teams and different styles, what was the biggest thing that you both learned about the Sixes format and the championship series at the end of it all?
We say it a lot, or he said it a lot, and it's a little cliche, but your mind goes first. Like, I think about all the plays I want to take back all week. It's like, why did I shoot that, or why did I dodge into a double team? It's like, why did I get a penalty? It's like, you just play so dumb when you're tired. So it's like conditioning. I ran a lot. I shot a lot on the run to prepare for this, and it still wasn't enough. I was gassed. You got to condition, and you gotta buy in on defense. You gotta play smart. It's really all it is. The legs give out. Mind goes next.
It's basketball with sticks, basically. I absolutely love it. The fans look like they love it. I mean, this style of play is really fun for these guys, but, it's a grind on their bodies, which is a week of just battling. I talked about it earlier this week as well, is like their bodies probably feel like they got in a car accident. Because if you see these guys' backs when they take their jerseys off, it looks like literally you could see Doc Sakin had a full head mark on his back, and I'm pretty sure it was a Maverick stick. You can see the little Maverick signs, but you can see that type of battle scars that they have, and the sacrifices that they make to get here. These guys are hurting so bad. That when you have to always make it to in the championship game, it's mostly going to be who's going to be the best condition and who's going to try to be the freshest that they possibly can. And, it's the game changed a little bit for us, but I think it's just a grind on the body. And it shows the resiliency that these athletes have and how truly remarkable they are.
Questions from Zoom?
Hey, Coach. Romar said he wanted to prove that he should be in the lineup every game this summer. Do you think that from this tournament he did that?
Absolutely, 100%.
Anything else from Zoom? Other questions in the room? Coach Romar, thanks for your time.
Appreciate you guys all week. Thank you.